Hi, my name is Jorge, and in this video we are going to walk through a N of 10 assessment based on numbered topic on a GCSE level, showing you how to approach each question with confidence. Ever wonder how to tackle those tricky questions? Let's break them down together. On the description of this video, you can find the link for this assessment. Give it a go while watching the video. You can also stop the video when you see the pause symbol and give it a go before I explain how to do it. Pause it now if you want to give it a go. The first question is based on Bidmas, or the order to solve the problem. We can identify a multiplication and a subtraction. Multiplication first, that gives us 24, and take away 7. If we do 24 minus 7, that's gonna give us 17. And that will be the answer for the first question. On question B, we can find a division and an addition. The first thing that we're gonna need to focus on is the division, and 40 divided by 5 gives us 8, plus the 3 is gonna give us a total of 11, and that will be answer for 1B. Feel free to stop it here again. On the second exercise, we find product of prime factors, and to find that we can do a factor tree. This number is an even number, so we can divide that number by 2 using the Bidmas method if you cannot do it with your head. 2 doesn't go into 1, so we're gonna need to write down 0. 2 into 19 goes 9 times, and the remainder will be 1. And 2 into 16 gives us 8. So the answer will be 98. 98 need to be broken down again because it's a big number, but it's also an even number, so we can still divide by 2. And if you cannot do that with your head, again, Bidmas method. 2 into 9 goes 4 times, remainder 1, and 2 into 18 gives us 9. Now we got 2 and 49. 49 is not a prime number because it can be divided by 7 times 7. And now we have found all our prime numbers that I am circling on blue. When writing down the answer for this exercise, we need to find out how many numbers are repeat. So for example, I can see that there are 2 2's. That is also the same as saying 2 to the power of 2. And 2 7's, so 7 to the power of 2. Now I can write down the answer as a 2 squared times 7 squared, and that will be the answer. For question 2 part B, we need to find the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple. So the first thing is to write down the numbers and try to do the factor tree again. Remember, if you cannot see clearly what a number goes into, you can always divide by 2 or by 3 most likely on your exam, until you find all the prime numbers. Now that we have found all the prime factors, we're gonna draw a Venn diagram, which is basically a circle inside another circle, and we're gonna place all the prime numbers inside. Every number that repeats on both numbers goes in the middle. Another number that repeats that goes in the middle is another 2. Can you see any other number that repeat? Yes, exactly. The number 3 is on both of them, so I also gonna place the 3 inside of the middle of my diagram. The 3 goes in, and to finish populating the diagram, I'm gonna write down the other numbers that we have not used on each side. The 3 on the left, and a 2 and a 2 on the right hand side. Now I have all my prime numbers there, and I can find out easily what is the highest common factor. The highest common factor are all of the numbers that we have placed in the middle of the diagram. In this case, 2 times 2 times 3. Yes, the numbers in the middle of the diagram. And 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. numbers in the middle. Now that we have our Venn diagram, it's very simple to find the lowest common multiple because we only need to time all the numbers that we can see on the Venn diagram. Keep in mind that we have not placed all the prime numbers in that diagram because every time that they repeat, we place them in the middle. The lowest common multiple will be timing 3 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. And what I'm doing there with the lines is basically making it easier. 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and then we got 6 times 6 times 2 times 2. And you only need to complete that multiplication to find out the lowest common multiple. Now that we have found the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor, the only thing left to do is to place them on the answer box. And then we can move to the next question. The next question is just about rounding and place value, so it should be quite a straightforward question. 8,473 to the nearest 100 is basically a question that is asking us, is it closer to 8,500 or is it close to 8,400? So you tell me. To find the value of the digit 6 on 0.607, the only thing that you need to do is write down exactly the same number but avoiding the other numbers underneath. So in this case 0.6 or 0.60, it does not change the answer. And for the last exercise, to work out 3 squared plus 4 squared, the only thing that you need to do is to expand those indices. So 3 squared is the same as 3 times 3, and then 4 squared is the same as 4 times 4. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 16 because it's 4 times 4 is going to give us 25, and that will be the answer for the last question in this page. In question number 4, I'm gonna be adding and subtracting fractions, but when I'm looking at the first couple of fractions, I realize that I cannot add them because they don't have the same denominator. The number on the bottom is different. The first thing I'm gonna need to do is to find the same denominator for both fractions. I'm gonna create new fractions. There are many ways of doing this, but the way I'm gonna recommend you to do is do the 3 time table and the 6 time table. When you do both of them, you realize that 6 shows on both of them. So that's gonna be my new denominator. And I'm gonna create 2 new fractions with 6 on the bottom. To find out the top, you need to tell me how many 3's goes into 6. 2, or twice, right? So I'm gonna time that whole fraction by 2. 2 times 1 is gonna be 2. The second fraction is not gonna change because 6 into 6 goes only once. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 6 times 1 is 6. When we have the same denominator, we can now add the top and leave the denominator the same. So 2 plus 1 on the top and 6 on the bottom. That's going to give us 3 over 6. That could be my answer, but because it says on the simplest form, that means that I need to simplify that fractions, and the only number that goes into both of them is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I got now the simplest version of my fraction. And I am done with part A. Now let's gonna move to part B. When trying to solve part B, I found 2 fractions with different denominators. So the first thing I'm gonna do is basically finding the same denominator the same way I did on part A. After that, I will subtract the top and leave the bottom. In this case, how many times 6 goes into 24? It goes 4 times, so I'm gonna need to times the fraction by 4 on the top and on the bottom. 4 times 5 is 20. And how many 8 goes into 24? 3 times, so I'm gonna time top and the bottom by 3. In this case, 3 times 3 is 9. Now that I got 20 and 9, I can subtract them normally. That gives me 11 over 24. And I am done with this question. Stop here to give it a go if you want to. A second ago, we were adding and subtracting fractions. In this case, on question number 5, we're going to be multiplying and dividing fractions, and it's way more easy than subtract or adding. In this case, when we are multiplying fractions, we only need to time top by top and bottom by bottom. I like to say time in a line when it comes to fractions, but let's see what happens. And as simple as that, we got the answer. But because it says again on the simplest form, we're gonna need to simplify the fractions. Both of them goes into 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And now we got the final answer. To divide fractions is very simple as well. Maybe you have heard of keep, flip and change. I use a different technique, which is basically timing diagonally. And when I time diagonally, I get the answer straight away and I skip one of those steps. Pay attention to what I'm doing. Three times 3, which is 9, is gonna be my new number on the top. And 4 times 2 is going to be 8, and that's going to be my number on the bottom, and I am done. That's basically an improper fraction that I could move into a mixed number, being 1, 8 on the bottom, and 1 remainder on the top. But the question is asking me for improper fraction, so I get the answer on improper fraction. On question number 6, we find fractions, decimal and percentage. Write down 35% as a fraction. Well, as a fraction, when they give us a percentage, it's always over 100. And because it says on simplest form, we're gonna need to simplify that by dividing by 5. Both numbers goes into 5, and we need to tell how many times they go. 7 times 5 is 35, and on the bottom 20, because 20 times 5 give us also 100. That is the simplest form for that fraction, so I'm gonna write down that on the answer box. And now I'm gonna do 0.4 as a fraction on the simplest form. 0.4 is exactly the same as 0.40, don't you think? Don't confuse that with 0.04, which will be 4%. In this case, 0.40 is 40%, and 40% is 40 over 100. Again, it's very simple. After that, we're gonna need to simplify this fraction by dividing by 10 first, which will be the most simple step. That's gonna give us 4 over 10. And then we can simplify that again by dividing by 2, which is gonna give us 2 over 5. And we got the simplest version of that fraction. Now simplify 9 over 12. I believe that you're becoming a professional on simplifying now, but 9 and 12, both of them goes into 3. So how many 3 goes into 9? 3. How many 3 goes into 12? 4. 3/4 will be the answer. So I'm gonna write down 3/4 on my answer box. And then the last one will be the most challenging one, and it says write down 3 over 8 as decimal. In this case, the only thing that you're gonna need to do is divide 3 by 8, which is the same as what this fraction is saying, and by doing the math method, you're gonna get the answer straight away. 8 into 3 doesn't go, so I'm gonna write down 0, and then decimal point to add a 0 to that 3. 8 into 30 goes 3 times, which is 24, and the difference between 24 and 30 is 6. I'm gonna add a 0 because I'm doing decimals. I go 7 times into 56, difference 4, and into 40 goes 5 times. If you're not really familiar with the BAS method, I recommend you to give it a go online. Just write down BAS method activities. And I will move that into a percentage, which will be 37.5%, but because the answer is asking me to give an answer on decimal, I'm gonna leave it at decimal. Stop here for question number 7, if you want to. Question number 7 is also related to fraction, but fraction from a total. So let's gonna draw this, which is a little bit easier to see. I got 5 red counters, and then I got 7 blue counters. For question number 8, it says, what fractions of the counters are red? Well, as you can see, only 5 of them are red. So 5 over, and then I'm counting how many I have in total. 5 plus 7 is 12. So 5 of them are red over 12 in total, and that's it. So where do you think that the blue one will be? Question number 8, we are working with percentage decrease or increase, percentage of an amount, and they're asking us to do 15% of 80. To find any percentage, the first thing that you should do is try to find 10%. And to find 10% of any quantity, you only need to divide by 10. That means that 10% of 80 is going to be 80 divided by 10, which is just 8. Now we need to find 5%. And to find 5% is very simple because you already know 10%. So you're only going to need to divide that 10% that you previously found by 2. And then you're going to get 5%. Now that you got 10% and 5%, you got 15% already. You only need to add the amount that you have found, in this case, 12. So 50% of 80 is going to be 12. Now, to do part B, we need to decrease 60 by 25%. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is find 25% of 60. You think that you can do it with the tips I give you already? Let's see if you can manage to do it before me. Now that I know how much is 10%, it's very simple to find 20% because it's 2 10%. So basically I need to time by 2. If 10% was 6, 20% is gonna be 12. And I only need to find 5%. But do you remember how to do that? When I have found 20% and 5%, I only need to add them together. 25% is going to be 12 plus 3, which is 15. But am I done now? I don't think so, because it says decrease 60 by 25%. I have found the 25%. but I have not decreased anything, so no, I'm not done. I need now to decrease that amount from the original amount to find out how much is the discount. Question number 9 is just estimation and rounding. In this case, 7,349 to the nearest thousand. So basically, is it close to 7,000 or is it close to 8,000? What is closest, basically? That's what they're asking us. Take into consideration that when I'm rounding up or down, I need to be looking at the number after the 7. If the number after the 7 is 4 or less, I'm going to be rounding down. On the other case, if the number is bigger than 5, I will be rounding up. For question 9b, we're going to estimate a multiplication by rounding each number to one significant figure. And that's basically the first number that we can see that is not 0. Just follow me here. For example, on 298, the first number that I see is the 2. Because I'm rounding, the number after will tell me if I'm rounding up or I'm rounding down. Because it's at 9, I'm gonna be rounding up. So 298 is gonna be basically, how much you reckon? Now, what do you reckon about the 0.51? What is the first number that you can see that is not 0? Yeah, the 5. Because the number after the 5 is smaller than 4, I'm gonna round down to 0.5. And now I only need to do 300 times 0.5, which is basically finding half of 300. If you know how much is half of 300, that will make it easy, but if you're not completely sure, you can either divide by 2 or you can do the multiplication with the decimals, which I'm gonna show you on the columns method now. You can pause here for question number 10. We're nearly there. On question number 10, we're gonna be working with scales, and while we're doing scales or a proportion exercise, we only gonna multiply or divide. That's the only operation that they admit. On a scale, on the left hand side, we can see the dimensions in the map, and on the right hand side, we can see the dimensions in real life. So that's why I like writing map on the left and reality on the right. For question number 10a, it says 6 centimeters apart the two towns, but that's on the map. So you're gonna write down that under the 1. If I do 2 columns, I'm gonna be writing the 6 under the 1. And because I can only multiply or divide, how many 1s goes into 6? That's basically the question in here. That's gonna be 6 times by 6. And on the other side, I also gonna be timing by 6. Now that I know that it's 150,000 centimeters, I got the answer. But they are asking me to move that into kilometers. So I'm gonna need to move centimeters into kilometers. I'm gonna divide by 100 to move it to meters, and then I'm gonna divide by 1,000 to move it to kilometers. For part B, they are giving us the actual distance. That is the reality, so I cannot put that under the map. So in this case now, I know that 1 centimeter equals 25,000 centimeters. The scales hasn't changed at all, but the 2 kilometers need to be written down under the 25,000 centimeters. But you cannot mix kilometer with centimeters on the scales. So you're gonna need to move these 2 kilometers that they have given you into centimeters to convert them. Now that I know that 2 kilometers are 200,000 centimeters, I only need to find out how many 25,000 goes into 200,000, which although it looks like a big number, it's not really that big when you take the zeros away. Pay attention. I hope without the zeros it's a little bit easier. And now how many 25 goes into 800, and you will get the answer. If you're not completely sure, just write down 25, 50, 75, 100, and add 25 until you get to 200. It's not really difficult to count them. Stop here if you want to give it a go to question 11. Question 11 is based on simple interest, and that's basically a percentage. And it says 600 is invested on 5% for 3 years. So basically you only need to find 5% of that quantity, and that will be 1 year. And then do that 3 times to get it to 3 years. But I have already show you how to find 5%. So let's see if that works out. Remember, you found 5%, but that is only for 1 year, and you are having this interest for 3 years. So if you got 1 year and you just need to do 3 years, the only thing that you need to do is time by 3. That's it. You got now the interest on 3 years. To find the final amount, the only thing that you need to do is the initial amount, the 600, and add the interest on top of it, and that's it, you're done. Let's stop here for question number 12. On question number 12, we can find a ratio problem. And when I find those kind of questions, I normally love to represent them with the bar model. Let me show you how it works, but 72 is a total, and when we find a total, we need to divide the total by the total amount of parts. Let me show you how it looks like. Look, I'm gonna represent now the bar model, drawing 5 boxes for the 5 parts and 3 boxes for the 3 parts, giving me a total amount of 8 boxes, and that 72, which was the total, needs to be divided by the 8 parts. So in this case, 72 divided by 8 equal 9, and that 9 is going to be introduced in all the boxes. Look at it. Now that we have the boxes filled, it's as easy as counting or multiplying, wherever you feel more comfortable with. You can also check your answer just by adding the 2 parts that you have found, and if the 2 parts equal to the total amount that you started with, your answer is correct because no pounds are missing. Stop here for question number 13. On question number 13, we're gonna be working with proportion. And as I previously mentioned, on proportion exercise, we only work with 2 operations. It's either gonna be divide or multiplication. In this case, because it's inversely, which means the opposite to, we're gonna be working on one side with multiplication and on the other side division, or vice versa, which means the opposite basically. In this case, we're going to be doing 2 columns, and on one side we're going to be writing houses and on the other one minutes. And we're going to fill up with what they give us. 3 houses take 30 minutes, and we're going to be doing a couple of rows because it gets easier if we represent this on a table. So for example, one house is going to be working slower than 3 of them. So in this case, we are increasing the amount of time that it requires. On one side, we are writing division. On the other side, we're writing multiplication. That's what it means when it means inverse. The exercise though is asking us how long will it take with the 5 houses. So with 5 houses it's definitely gonna be quicker. So in one side it's gonna be timing, but it's gonna definitely take us less time. So on the other side I'm gonna be dividing by 5. And 90 divided by 5, if you do that with the Bath method, is gonna give you 18. Now, if you look at the columns, you got 18 minutes already. That's the answer. How long will it take? 18 minutes. But the second question is a little bit easy. It says, how many houses will it take would you need to take 18 minutes? But they give you that already. It's 5 hoses. And the only one to do is 2 hoses. Now, 2 hoses will be definitely quicker than 1. So we're gonna be timing, and on the other side, we're gonna be dividing because it's gonna take less time for 2 of them working at the same time. Half of the time, which is 45 minutes. And you got the answer already. Stop here for question 14. Question number 14 is use a scale factor, and as I say to you, scales and proportion only time or divide, because it says that it's enlarged by a factor of 3. That means basically timing by 3. So this square that before was 2 by 5 is gonna increase its size by 3 times. And this is very simple. Before, one of the side was 2. You're gonna be timing both dimensions by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now you can complete the questions. The perimeter is adding all the sides together. The area is base times height. So just follow me. Stop the video here for question 15. Question 15 is based on ratio and on the form n to 1 or 1 to n. In these questions, one of the numbers is going to be the 1 and the other number is going to be n. And wherever is the number that has the 1 on the top, you're going to need to make a fraction, putting that number on the bottom of both numbers. So in this case, 30 over 30 equal to 1 because it's a whole thing. And then 18 over 30, you're going to need to move that into decimals. And to do that is 18 divided by 30 on the Bidmas method. For question 15 part B, it's going to be exactly the same. Now the 1 is going to be on top of the 250 and the n is going to be on top of the 1000. So the 1 is 250 over 250, which is a whole thing. And then 1000 divided by 250. 250 divided by 250 is 1. And then how many 250 goes into 1000? That's basically what you need to do. Which is the same as how many 25 goes into 100. And in this case, it's gonna be 4. Don't you reckon? Stop here for question 16. On question number 16, we are working with money or conversions, which is exactly the same as a proportion, which means that we only gonna be working with multiplication or division. Now I'm gonna make a table and I'm gonna put the pound and the euros on the left and the answers on the right. In this case, for example, to go from 1 pound to 1.20 euros, I need to time by 1.2, because 1 times 1.2 give me 1.2, doesn't change. On the right hand side, I'm gonna write down the 45 pound that was given to me on the part A, and I'm gonna time that by 1.2. If you're not completely sure how to do that, I recommend you to practice columns, multiplication, or the grid, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm gonna show you here how to do with the columns. So now we know that the answer is 54 euros. Now on part B, we need to move from pound to euros. So before we were going down and we were multiplying, now we're gonna make the number smaller and we're gonna be dividing. That is the way I try to explain this. And the number that they give us is 78. So 78 euros need to be on pounds. And to do that, I'm gonna divide 78 by 1.2. If you're not completely sure on how to do that, I will use the BAT method, but it's not a simple exercise because we have two decimals, as you can see. So to get rid of the decimals, I'm gonna be timing by 100, both numbers by 100. And by doing that, I get rid of the decimals. I'm gonna have now 120 and 7,800. And I can remove a 0 to make it a little bit more simple. So the final division is going to be 780 divided by 12. And we can manage that BAT stop. Now I'm just gonna mark my questions and I got 52 out of 52, which also means 100%, which also means 1. Please keep in mind that this video took me a very long time to create, so please like it, share and subscribe if you want to, okay? Have a good day.